I'll just have to push it. All right, welcome everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the school board meeting for January. We'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, so please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right, this meeting, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Seconded.
We have a motion by Lindblad, seconded by Sampson to approve the agenda for January 15th, 2016. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the spotlight on recognition, beginning with the Employee of the Month for January.
It's my pleasure to introduce the Employee of the Month for January, Ronnie Stoles. Ronnie is definite asset to Hayes and the Fridley School District. She does an excellent job in her work as a paraprofessional in the Media Center at Hayes. She works with the media specialist. I will also say that prior to becoming an employee, Ronnie spent many, many hours as a volunteer at in the media center, and a couple of years ago there was an opening, and we encouraged her to apply. She also helps out in the labs in which Amy Hauser, the media specialist, is helping her with the work that she does as well, that she then can help Amy and the students in their lab as well. She keeps the library in excellent shape. She maintains our leveled reading library. She's willing to learn anything that might help her on the job. She has also taken an initiative with Amy's permission, to reorganize certain sections of the library so that it makes more sense for students, and she really does that all with the smile that you see and her happy disposition. So congratulations to Ronnie.
Thank you. Our next is a recognition week for the paraprofessionals.
Yes, last week was the Paraprofessional Week, and here is a declaration that the governor set forth, and I believe this was given to many of our paraprofessionals, as well as special things were done at each of the buildings for the paraprofessionals that they work with. Again, the work that they do is incredibly important, and the support that they give not only our students, but also the staff that they work with really makes a difference in the lives of children. So we appreciate their work, not just that week, but each and every day. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to all those paraprofessionals that are inside the district and those in the other districts in the state. Our last item for Spotlight is some Fridley teachers of winning some TIES Excellent honors.
Yes, for the last 11 years, TIES has been honoring 2 teachers in every school district. This year, it's our pleasure to honor Brittany McNabb, who is a 2nd grade teacher at Stevenson Elementary, and Emily Latska, who is a Spanish teacher. Brittany has only been in Fridley for 2 years, and she's already become a leader in differentiated math and the Chromebook management. Through the use of group work, Front Row, and the Khan Academy, her 2nd graders are utilizing their math skills in tutorials at home and at school, and even on snow days. Brittany has led the charge with the first one-to-one Chromebook classroom at Stevenson, and has been enthusiastic about teaching others how to teach and manage a truly blended classroom. And then Emily is the Spanish teacher at the high school, provides a 24/7 learning for her students by integrating online tutorials, resources, and opportunities. She created a comprehensive multi-level Spanish classroom website in order to give her students a richer experience. Through the Google Classroom, Emily continues to integrate opportunities for students to engage with content both in and out of the physical classroom. And she embodies the reflective teaching and continually suggests ideas to help improve ways to deliver curriculum to the Fridley School students. So congratulations to both of them. They were recognized at the TIES conference in middle of December.
Thank you, and congratulations to those two teachers. Next, moving on to a superintendent and staff reports, beginning with the family engagement update. And Amini, I believe you brought a few folks with you?
So a couple of times in the past couple of years, I have asked Miss Alota Sims to join me and to share some of the work that she has done, as she has worked very hard to define the role of the Family Outreach Liaison. Last year, through the work of some folks at Fridley, we were able to expand our ADSYS program, and because of that, we were now able to fund 2 additional family outreach positions. And it is just my absolute pleasure to bring those folks to you today and have them introduce themselves and share with you a little bit about the work that they're doing. One of the things that they have been doing is really to define the core of the work that they want to do and the core mission that they have. And so they have identified these 3 statements: advocating for students and families, helping students achieve academic success, and providing connections to community resources. And it is under these 3 umbrella areas that they do their work. And as they have articulated here, I would like to just have them just take a moment to introduce themselves and to share with you the work that they are doing in these 3 areas in each of their buildings. First, we'll let Ms. Alota speak.
Hello, good evening. Alota Sims. I am the Family Outreach Liaison for the middle school, high school, and the ALC. This year, one of my big focuses is providing resources and providing community connections. This year, we did the back to school resource fair, which was a really big hit, and we want to continue to do that with the community support. We also continue to partnership with Cummings Tree to do a holiday tree, which gives away holiday trees, decorations, and also provides gifts. And with that, they deliver those to the family. So that's a wonderful connection that we continue to have. I really want to work on building connections with the community for mentorships within the schools. And so right now, I am reaching out to a couple of local businesses and continue to work with local churches around here in our community to continue to build those resources for families that are in need, or to continue to help that success moving forward, and making sure that those needs are there so that the kids can continue to move progressively in their success with school. So that's what I'm working on, and I'm happy to do so, and it's always fun.
Good evening, my name is Yusuf Mahmoud, and I'm the Family Outreach Liaison at Hayes Elementary. And what I wanted to say is my purpose of working at Hayes Elementary is to bridge the gap between parents and students, and teachers as well too. Since I've started working at Hayes, I've worked very closely with Mr. John and Mr. Cooper, the behavior specialist, who are both wonderful role models for the students. And my objective is to show the teachers how to respond to cultural differences in school environment. And it's also my duty to work closely with parents who are in need of my support for a better understanding of where some of the teachers come from when there's a concern rises. Many of these students come from different parts of life, and I could relate to them because I was brought up in the public school system as well too. It's my goal to support students emotionally, mentally, to guide them for a successful life. I also want to thank Miss Amina and Miss Alota for their support. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hashim Salasi. I am the Family Outreach Liaison for Stevenson Elementary. part of my goals are to advocate for families who feel underrepresented in the student process and ensure that they understand the learning expectations for student achievement in school policy and procedure. I also handle the attendance policy for Stevenson Elementary. Like I said, it kind of works as a double-edged sword because I'm advocating for families, but I'm also getting them to understand that they need to have to comply with the attendance policy. And I also use it as a vehicle to outreach with families so they understand that the importance of getting their kids to school on time and at school at all. Because if they don't, I think the kids are at a competitive disadvantage with the students in their class. And it starts now and it moves up to the middle school level, the high school level, and on to employment. So I try to keep them focused on making sure that they show up on time and do the best job they can. And I also speak to students about school education being their job. You have to come to school and do your best job, and that's now and moving forward. And also, I want to plan on planning some events in the future that encourages family outreach, and so parents feel comfortable advocating for their kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a great crew of folks. It's just, as I said before, just been my pleasure and honor to work with them, get to know them, and watch them start to come together and coalesce as a team and really focus on supporting families in our district.
I just had a quick question.
absolutely.
Do either of you two gentlemen have students in the district? Have children?
Yes, I do.
I don't.
You do? Okay.
I have two kids, one at Hayes and one at the middle school.
Thank you for all of your hard work with our families.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So much.
All right, next we have a presentation on the Google Summit by Sarah Armstrong and Anthony Hansen.
And Kathy Kramer.
And Kathy Kramer comes up too.
Is coming too.
Okay, thank you for having us here tonight. Just to give you a little background, we rolled up what's called Google Apps for Education a while back. There are 110 million users of Google Apps for Education, and those apps include Google Docs, Google Mail, Google Hangout, you know the tools. We've done a lot of training internally and externally. And this fall, we sent Sarah Armstrong, kindergarten teacher, and Anthony Hansen, second grade teacher, to a summit in Wisconsin Dells, and they came back on fire. So I'm going to let them talk about that and what that inspiration led to.
Hi, again, I'm Anthony, and
Off camera.
And you're off.
all right, I'll stay here. Thanks to Kathy, we were given a great opportunity, like she said, to head to Wisconsin Dells. This was my first experience with some professional development outside the district. This is only my second year at Hayes. And Kathy's totally right. I was on fire after we came back, and it sounds crazy to say, but this summit totally changed my life, the way that I think about my education in my classroom, the way that I think about the way I work with students, the way I work with families, the way I work with people in my building. The opportunities presented to us just to know what we didn't know was amazing. So we came back and immediately tried to integrate as many things as we could. We kind of set goals for ourselves. This is where I see myself in a week. This is where I see myself in a month, 6 months, a year, 5 years, and so on, based on the knowledge that we gained. Being at that conference really gave us a chance to immerse ourselves in a 21st century classroom world. And it's really tough to explain what that looks like. There's not really a definition for it. But when you're there, you definitely feel it. You can really feel it in the atmosphere. We immediately, like I said, tried to implement some things right away. We started to realize that maybe we didn't have all the tools and the resources that we needed. So Sarah and I both took a chance to create something called Donors Choose, where we started to raise some funds for our classrooms to provide us with those tools and resources to help students take charge of their learning in a more meaningful and efficient way.
All right. So one of the biggest takeaways from this conference was truly the inspiration. So, like Anthony said, we were able to develop a huge professional learning network. We were able to meet teachers from all across Wisconsin, Minnesota, and the U.S., and really connect with them on avenues like Google Plus and Twitter and Facebook. So we have instant access to these resources anytime we're trying to, overcome something in our classrooms or try something new. And we came up with a little metaphor. We view kind of Fridley Public Schools as a holiday tree, if you will. And, as the inspiration spreads, you get a little bit, a few more lights, a few more lights. And so part of our goal is to spread that inspiration so that we can light up the tree a little bit further. Another thing that we were able to take away was Anthony and I have now a shared vision of what that 21st century classroom looks like, and we're able to bring that vision now to different pathways at Fridley Public Schools. And we're encouraging now other teachers, administrators, you guys as a school board to join us at the upcoming summit so that we can all have a shared vision and work towards that common goal and really begin to understand what does a 21st century classroom look like in Fridley Public Schools.
So you might be asking yourself, okay, we went to this conference, we're starting to make some things happen. We're starting to, shake the foundation a little bit. What's next for us? What's next for our building? What's next for Fridley Public Schools? The main thing for us is we continue to reach out to those in our personalized learning network and our educational community, like Sarah mentioned, through Twitter, through Facebook, through things like Google+, to take those avenues and try to gather as much information and resources and knowledge as we can and apply it directly to our classroom. We've also, Sarah and I have tried to connect to each other and trying to kind of spread the love in Hayes and other buildings through some small staff development presentations, just telling others about what's going on, just mainly sharing the word, and we're trying to bring others towards our cause and try to work together to again define what does a 21st century classroom look like in Fridley Public Schools. We have this great initiative. We're trying to move towards these things. We just want to work together to make sure that we do it right in a meaningful way that benefits all students and staff. Enter the Minnesota Google Summit. We came back, we told Kathy, hey, this is so awesome. Wouldn't it be crazy if we had one here? Kathy was on it right away. She says, I love that idea. That's great thinking. She reached out to some people, and all of a sudden, she's coming a few weeks later, and she's like, hey, it's happening. We're getting this Google Summit here, and we want you to present. And Sarah and I were both like, whoa, we just came back. This is crazy. We just kind of got dumped into it. It's been an amazing ride. But the common misconception is that professional development like this is just for teachers. It's not just for teachers. It's for administrators. It's for school board members. Anybody who's connected to our students in a meaningful way really should attend this conference, especially with Fridley moving towards, again, a 21st century model in our classrooms. You should really be able to feel, what does that look like for our kids, and what are other administrators and other teachers and other schools doing to make this successful for them? How are they mitigating certain problems that arise? And through the conference, we're getting a chance to see and meet other educators who are, again, doing this successfully. We get to connect with them. We get to learn from their mistakes. We kind of let them fail for us. I could go on and on about the benefits of you guys attending, of other teachers attending, of administrators attending. It's on a Saturday and it's on a Sunday, and I know it's hard to give away your time like that, but I'm telling you, you will be able to connect with teachers and staff and students in such a more meaningful way just by generally knowing about what's out there. When a student is talking about it, when a staff member is talking about it, when someone says, hey, I think we should bring this to our district, you're going to know about it. You're going to know what it feels like to be in that environment. So. Again, the summit is January 29th through the 31st. The Friday is more of a Chromebook implementation, learning about that. The main sessions are from 8 to 4 on Saturday and Sunday. If you have a link to this presentation, there is a link to where to sign up, also a link to the schedule to check out what's going on. You can feel free to choose your sessions and find ones that you find meaningful to you or meaningful to the work that you do. So. thanks again for having us. It was really awesome to be here. We appreciate it. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question. So I'm super excited about this. Can I bring like a friend from, if I can get someone from like the Anoka County Library System, because we support lifelong learning for all the people in our community. So I think it would be really exciting if we could make sure to connect to other resources as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Bring anybody you want. Like I said, it's not just limited to teachers and administrators. It's really for anybody who wants to come and learn more about what's going on in the ed tech or the educational technology world. So.
And Kathy, there are ways that you could kind of combine day one and day two if somebody.
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, would you want to talk about that?
Oh,
You
that
can
sounds like a
pay
lead.
for one admission for the 2-day conference, and you could go on Saturday, and your friend could go on Sunday. So it makes it really nice for that. So you don't spend your whole weekend doing that. You just one day.
Yeah, so.
And if any of you are interested in it, contact Lori or myself, and we will get you signed up.
Yeah, we've had almost, I think we're nearing north of 150 participants already. Many of our staff are presenting at the conference themselves, so it's a great chance to see what other teachers in our district are doing and also, connect with a lot of different people from other districts.
We're actually up to almost 200. So,
And get your tickets now because
Yes,
they're
all
going
right.
fast.
Right.
They're going
That's right.
fast.
So is it set up in such a way that you could attend individual sessions and not the whole day?
Yeah,
Or
each
no?
session is an hour long.
Okay.
And so throughout the day, you're choosing which sessions you want to go to at any given time.
Okay.
So, there's only a couple offered each hour, and so you have, a choice of what you want to learn at which time.
but you pick either day.
Yes.
So you don't pay by session, you pick either day.
Yeah.
But they're actually adding more sessions. But there's a wide variety. There's things like zero inbox that helps you eliminate your email to zero. Don't we all want to do that?
Wow.
And then there's like big picture ideas, moonshot thinking. They have excellent keynotes that they fly in from all over the world. It's at the very end they do kind of some Google hacks where they teach you little tricks to make you more efficient and productive. So there's a wide variety of topics and with people that have different level of experiences. But I've been to a summit, not in Wisconsin Dells, but somewhere else, and it is very inspiring, and it does cover a lot of ground. So
Yeah,
we hope to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Right, thank you very much. Our next item on the agenda is talking about our bond sales. So we have Matt Hammer and Jody Ziba from Ellers to tell us how our bond sales went today.
Good evening. Your bond sales went fantastic. So it's very exciting news that I'm sharing with you tonight. We're still so happy that your community was supportive of your school bond issue. And then we were also able to take advantage of the nice low rates and refinance or refund some of your bonds. So that's what the second issue is. So we'll start with the first issue, which is your school building bond issue. And we have a sale day report that summarizes the results from the sale today. These bonds are financing the projects that your voters approved as part of the election on November 3rd. We received 7 bids today, which is great. The low bidder was 2.96%. So that's fantastic. And when we compare the results that we achieved today to the estimates that we provided to the district prior to the election, the savings to the taxpayers over the life of the issue is about $3.5 million. So it's real money that this nice low rate resulted in savings to your taxpayers as compared to the initial estimates. And the tax impact for 2016 was set as part of your levy last month. So in December, you had to certify your final levy. We gave you our best estimate at that point in time, but the amounts have come in lower. And so the tax impact for this bond issue in 2017 and going forward will be less than what we put on the levy for 2016. So attached to the sale day report are some schedules, including the bid tab, which is pretty lengthy because you received so many bids. And the low bidder was Bank of America out of New York, and their true interest rate is a 2.9629. You'll notice that matches exactly to the second lowest bidder because we had to go out to the fifth decimal point in order to award the bid, and that was really exciting news around our office this morning. That doesn't happen very often, that the bids are that close and that tight, so that just shows you the amount of interest that there was in your bond issue and the fact that they were sharpening their pencils, obviously, to try to get to the lowest rate. So I'm sure that second bidder was not too happy that they lost the bid, and that was Baird out of Wisconsin. So Piper Jaffray out of Minneapolis was the third highest bidder, and then you also received bids from Wells Fargo. They bid out of their Charlotte, North Carolina office, JP Morgan out of New York, Citigroup out of Dallas, Texas, and FTN Markets out of Memphis, Tennessee. So lots of interest from throughout the country in the bond issue, and very low rates. In fact, the high bidder was a 3.07, and I think in our estimates going into the election, we had used a 3.58, and we were really crossing our fingers hoping we could achieve that. So it's great news that you locked in at such a nice low rate. And then we've updated the schedules that we provided to you previously as part of the process. And you'll see the sources and uses schedule, the debt service schedule, your debt plan for all of your capital and debt levies, which helps us with long-term planning for the district, and then a chart that shows the estimated tax rates over the life of the bond issue for your existing debt and then the new debt. And then we've included a copy of the rating report. Your superintendent and finance director participated in a fairly lengthy telephone conference with Moody's rating agency. And they asked lots of questions, and I can tell you they represented your district very well. They were able to provide responses to all the questions that the rating analyst had, and really highlighted the strengths of your district. And you'll see that as part of that, there's a summary section at the beginning of the report that highlights your credit strengths, and they see a strength as the fact that you're located in the Twin Cities metro area, of course, strong voter support for your operating referendum levies, which is great, and then stable enrollment growth. So that's helpful to a district, as you know. The credit challenges that they pointed out are a couple of things that are outside of your control, and this bullet point ends up in every rating report for districts in the state of Minnesota, and that's the fact that the way that our education system, the financing and funding formulas are set up is that you're highly dependent on revenues from the state of Minnesota. So that's always going to show up on every report for school districts in the state of Minnesota. They mentioned the elevated debt burden, which is a given. You're issuing more debt, so yes, your outstanding debt is going to be a little higher. And the relatively narrow operating fund reserves. They do like to see higher fund balances, and I know that's a point of discussion that the board is very aware of, and of course, as a credit rating agency, they want to see higher level of reserves. And then there's a detailed rating report that goes into more depth on many of the things that we talked about as part of the call. So that's everything related to the school building bond issue. And I know you have a separate resolution for each issue. So if you have questions on the report or the resolution, I'd be certainly happy to do my best to answer those.
I think so. I think you can probably move on to the reissuance or the refunding.
Do you want to do the
Yeah, we'll
votes
do
then?
the
Perfect.
actual resolutions later in the
Perfect, got it.
agenda, part of the agenda.
So then, the second bond issue, as I mentioned, is a refinancing or what we call a refunding in the public finance world. So it's very similar to refinancing a home mortgage. You want to take advantage of lower interest rates when they're available to you, and that's exactly what you did today. It will be a savings to your taxpayers. You cannot use this money in other areas of your budget, so it's required to be passed on as a savings to your taxpayers. And those savings will start with taxes payable in calendar year 2017. So taxpayers will see that kick in next year. We also received 7 bids related to this issue. The rate is even lower because this issue doesn't go out as far. So just as a home mortgage has a higher interest rate when the term is longer, same is true with respect to this debt. So the low bid on this was a 2.01 and the high bid was a 2.10. And you'll see that we had hoped to achieve savings of about 1,950,000. The actual savings that we're receiving compared to the existing debt service schedule that you're committed to is $2.7 million. So that's really exciting. That translates to about $25 on the average value home in the school district of Fridley. And again, taxpayers will see that as part of their 2017 taxes. So not quite this year, but next year that will kick in. And then included with your information here is the same type of attachments. So the bid tab, pretty much the same group of bidders, although the low bidder on this bond issue was Piper Jaffray out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. So that was nice. And we didn't have to go out to the 5th decimal point. So you'll see that the next lowest bidder was JP Morgan out of New York at 2.0158. And then Baird out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, FTN out of Memphis, Citigroup from Dallas, Bank of America out of New York, and Wells Fargo out of Charlotte. And again, we've provided updated schedules related to this bond issue, this refinancing bond issue, but my favorite page, of course, is the last page, which is page 5, and that shows you the savings. And again, $2.7 million in savings for taxes payable 2017 through 2027. So that $25 savings will occur over that each year over that entire period of time. By law, you're required to achieve at least a 3% present value savings, and the amount that you got was 10.823. So not a concern at all with being compliant with state law. You exceeded that by a significant amount. And that's everything for the refunding bond issue. Separate resolution for that, so it's a little bit different, but if you have any questions on the report or the resolution, be happy to answer those.
Now, the real reason we couldn't move those numbers into 2016 is because we already had to approve that levy in the December meeting last year.
Yes. For the school building bond issue.
Right.
Yep, the refunding bond issue, the reason that that kicks in 2017 is related to the call date on the bonds.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Just a comment that, Ellers with Jody's support and Matthew have worked really hard at making sure that the timing on especially the refunding was very good. So
yeah, we've had many discussions. We've been watching that one for a long period of time, and I think mostly we just got lucky with waiting to time it at the time when the rates have really come down. Unfortunately, the stock market is not doing as well for people, but that helped with the municipal bond issues because certainly investors are looking for safety and security, and they are provided that through municipal bond issues. So it's been really helpful for us to attract lots of bidders and the nice low interest rates.
Thank you, Jody. Next up, with that, sticking with the financial side of things, is a revised budget for 2015-16. Mr. Hammer.
So good evening. I'm Matt Hammer, Director of Finance, and I'm here to discuss the revised budget for FY 2015-16. As we move forward, we've got a lot of good things to talk about as we move into the revised budget. Enrollment's up, and that's always a good thing. So here is the foundation for our budget planning and all the initiatives we have at the school district. It's the 5 school board priorities. Topping the list, improving academic achievement, using the most effective instructional strategies, maintaining a safe and positive learning environment, building financial stability, and improving parent, school, and community partnership. And that picture right there is a good example of that with 3rd grade at Stevenson receiving dictionaries from the Fridley Rotary Club. All of those priorities, they pyramid up and they all support improving academic achievement. So enrollment enrollment drives funding in the state of Minnesota. It's an important piece of the funding formula, and our enrollment has been stable or growing over the last 2 years. We had a stable enrollment for about 3 years. Prior last year, in FY15, we saw an increase of about 66 students, almost 67. And this year, we're projecting another increase of about 21 students as we go into the revision. So last year in FY15, we had about 2,966 students. Right now in our revision, we're anticipating 2,987 students. This picture is of an event we had last year with our Fridley Arrive Alive. It was the first annual, and again, it was in partnership with the Fridley Police Department in that strong community partnership. So this is an illustration of our enrollment. It illustrates in total of where we've been in 2011-12. We had 29-13. We saw a couple years of stable but slightly decreasing, and now we're looking at an increasing enrollment as we move into 2015-16. Again, after our 2015 or our enrollment growth in 14-15 of 67 students. This is an illustration of enrollment by grade category. Our enrollment, our K4, which is our elementaries, Stevenson and Hayes, our middle school, which is our 5-8, which is in yellow, and then our high school, which is our 9-12, which is our green. As you can see, numbers are relatively stable. You can see our middle program, our middle years there has been increasing over time. At 2946, that includes both our middle school and our middle school ALC. Our high school numbers, they also include our high school ALC as well as our high school enrollment. So this is students served. There's other components in this. So the 2987, you're not going to get to that total with those numbers, but this is the students served in our school district. Here's a snapshot of our unassigned fund balance and where we've been. Back in 2013-14, we were just under our fund balance policy of 5 to 8%. Last fiscal year, we made substantial growth, and we landed right in the middle of our fund balance policy, our 5 to 8% board fund balance policy at 6.94%, and we're projected to increase that by about another 200,000 to put us at about 7.26% of unassigned expenditures. Revenues by source. This is an illustration of our revenues compared to FY15 actual. Revenues are projected to increase to $39,125,735. That's an increase in our state aids of about $560,000, mainly driven by an increase in the general education formula. That's about $350,000, and then increase in enrollment of 21 students, which is about another $100,000. There's other factors. Our compensatory revenue is up, but our we had a special education adjustment in FY15 that kind of offsets that increase for compensatory, so we're not projecting as large of a adjustment in special ed. Local revenues are up because our local levy is up about $200,000 in total. That's related to prior year adjustments and a large abatement adjustment, as well as we have a large E-rate. We did qualify for a Tier 2 E-rate in the Tier 2 E-rate program, which is going to provide the district about another $200,000 with our E-rate revenue in FY16 to fund our wireless projects that our technology manager, Yvonne, took part in and was actually able to get mostly complete in the month of October. Federal revenues are down. That's mainly due to our PEP grant. We had a $200,000 PEP grant that we no longer have as we moved into FY16. General fund unassigned, we're projecting a $202,902 increase in fund balance, which puts our fund balance at the end of June 2016 at about 7.26% of unassigned expenditures. Here's our breakdown of how our dollars are spent. It's by program. The important thing to point out here is if you start from regular instruction and move all the way up to pupil support services, about 80% or 80 cents on a dollar directly goes to support students. About 4% goes to administration, 5%, or 5 cents on the dollar goes to district support services, and the other 11% or 11 cents goes to sites, buildings, and other. I think this is something that we build our budget around as a district, and it's important for us to keep that those dollars in the classroom directly supporting students, and 80% of our budget does that. Our food service program, our non-major funds, we'll talk a little bit about those. We're projecting a surplus in our food service program of about 20,000. That's going to bring our fund balance to about 336,380. This fund balance is important for us as we move into the next fiscal year that we have this. Our food service program needs to be self-sustaining, and there's a lot of deferred maintenance projects that need to happen in our Fund 2 program. Mary Mueller's done a great job moving this fund in the positive direction, and we're sitting good with our deferred maintenance plan in food service. Our community service program, this has been a work in progress. 2 years ago, we had a deficit of about 200,000. We were able to shrink that gap by about 130,000 last year with a number of changes and a lot of work done by our community service community service director and our community service director assistant, Tony Kraft and Stephen Keeler. That work has put us in a fund balance position of about a minus 600 or 64,000 at the end of June 15, and we're projecting to come out of the red in the end of 2016, which is good. That's driven by a few factors. We've done a lot of reorganization in the community program, but we've also had some increased support with the legislature in our school readiness and ECFE programs. So other funds, there's our capital projects fund. That's the bond proceeds that Jody talked about going into there in March timeframe. We're projecting about 27.5 million going in there. The other piece of that is our capital projects levy that makes up the other dollars. Expenditures, we're projecting, this is prior to June 30, this is an estimate of where we're projecting expenditures to be by the end of June of this year, to leave us with a balance of about 25 million in that capital projects fund. Our internal service fund is made up of a few things. It's our self-insurance dental, our self-insurance medical, and our OPEB trust. Though that makes up about $5 million, and we're projecting to have an estimated fund balance mainly made up of our OPEB of about 4.9 million in there. And then also that fund is increasing because we do have a self-insurance, or we're self-insuring our medical plan, so that fund will grow with time as we try to set that reserve as we move forward to make sure that program and that self-insurance fund operates efficiently and effectively. Our debt service is our annual amortization schedule, and that's both made up of our OPEB debt service as well as our debt service from our school building bonds. So that's the budget in a nutshell. Is there any questions?
No. Right, well, thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Next up, we move on to our business action items, beginning with a resolution to accept gifts. This is a monthly resolution that we have. It basically stays the same verbiage every month with just the caveats of the amounts and the names and the faces might change. And I guess I'm not going to read the whole resolution, but here are the following gifts that were received over the past month. Donating to the Fridley Band Program, Carolyn Nolan of $50. The following persons donated to Hayes Elementary School: Chelsea Grandstand in the amount of $35, Michael Paquette in the amount of $70, Michael Peterson in the amount of $14, Jennifer Reichert, $67.34, Deanna Roth, $105, and Portico Benefit Services providing some projects to Sarah Armstrong class in the amount of $100. The following persons donated to Stevenson Elementary School: Nima Chigolo, $14, Tiffany Robinson, $70, Stephanie Sharp, $35. And donations to Fridley Middle School include Nicole Duncan for $8.05, Allison Hoff, $35, Scott O'Leary, $14, Kimberly Ringhofer, $14, Stephanie Sharp $35, and B.S. Craycraft for the ASD program in the amount of $15. For the high school, received $95.10 through the GiveMinnesota.org program. I believe that was for the Give to the Max Day. So folks that earmarked the money for the high school, all donated to a portion of that.
Move the resolution.
Second?
We have a motion by Sampson, seconded by Lindblad to accept the gifts and thank the donors for their contributions. Any discussion? If not, it's a resolution. Clerk, please call the roll.
Aye.
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 And the resolution passes. Next we have is a motion for the custodian master service agreement for 2015 through 2017.
I'd like to move the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I didn't know if any discussion was needed.
We have a motion by Sampson, seconded by Prueto to approve the custodian master service agreement for 2015-2017. Any discussion? I guess I'd just like to thank everyone that was on the committees and that was able to work that out. I know in the past it has gone on certainly longer than it did this time, and I certainly appreciate all the hard work that went into getting the agreement reached from both sides.
Yeah, in particular, Kim and Mary Kay were board members on this one, so thanks to them.
And thanks to the custodian representatives who were very helpful in moving this to a timely, negotiation.
Right, unless there's any further discussion, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Next up is the school board, annual school board authorizations, including choosing the approvals of the Sun Focus as the official newspaper, official depositories for 2015-16, the approved attorney firms for legal services as needed, authorization for the treasurer to pay contracted salaries of the school personnel upon order of the district chair and clerk, authorization for the treasurer to pay all special payroll wages upon the order, authorization for the treasurer to also invest any temporary surplus funds in treasury notes, T-bills, certificates of deposits, or other securities authorized by Minnesota statutes, authorization for the superintendent and director of finances to use facsimile signatures of district officials for checks and orders, as well as the authorization of the superintendent and director of finance to utilize electric transfer of investments and payments, authorization for the superintendent and director of finance to lease, purchase, and contract for goods and services within the budget as approved by the school board, as well as the 2015-16 membership in the Association of Metropolitan School Districts, Metro EXU, Minnesota School Boards Association, and Schools for Equity in Education. Long motion there. Do
Move
I
to approve.
Second.
have a motion by Lindblad, second by Prueto to approve the motion as I have just read? Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Our next motion is for the school board organization and salary for 2016, and that includes the school board officers, the school board representatives for the various committees, as well as school board salaries.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion by Sampson, seconded by Lindblad to approve the school board officers, representatives, and school board salaries for 2016. Do we have any discussion on that? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Our next item for a motion would be the revised budget that Mr. Hammer has just laid out for us.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion by Sampson, seconded by Lindblad to approve the revised budget and assumptions for 2015-2016. We have any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Now becomes the big monster resolutions that we've talked about for the bond sales. First, we'll start talking about awarding the sale, determining the form and details, authorizing the execution, delivery, and registration, and providing for the payment of general obligation school building bonds, Series 2016A.
Can I move the resolution without having to go into all the details?
Yes, we shouldn't. I think
Second.
we can move to without having to read the whole 40-page resolution. Would be very good. I know my voice wouldn't hold out, and I know Moby wants to sit through that. So,
quite lengthy.
So we have a motion by Sampson and seconded by Prueta to approve the resolution awarding the sales to was it Bank of America Merrill Lynch out of New York for the general school building bonds. Although, excuse me, the resolution. So clerk, could you please call the roll?
Aye.
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 And the resolution passes. And our final resolution would be for determining the forms for the refunding of the bonds for the alternative facilities from originally 2007, now for 2016.
I move the resolution.
Second.
I have a motion by Lindblad, seconded by Sampson, to approve the resolution awarding the sale to Piper Jaffrey. Any discussion? If not, clerk, could you please call the roll?
Aye.
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 Aye. And thanks, Matt, for your leadership on that effort.
And the resolution passes. Thank you, Jody, also, for all your help. Next up, we have the consent agenda. This is the monthly minutes of the school board business meeting and work session that was held on December 15th, 2015, the monthly financial reports, and new contracts, amendments, leave of absence, terminations, and resignations. And I guess one resignation that I guess I would like to, or not, I guess it's not a resignation, I shouldn't say it. It's a retirement that I would like to announce. Unfortunately, at the end of the school year, we'll be losing our principal at the high school. Renee Van Gorp has decided that she will be retiring at the end of the year. So we'll sadly miss her. She provided over 31 years of service to the district in many different positions, from paraprofessional to classroom teacher, athletic director, assistant principal. I think counselor. I knew I was going to miss one or two in there. She's done so many things for us, so she will be
Softball
sadly
coach.
missed.
Coaching, yeah.
Coaching, that's true. She was coaching also, yeah. So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Lindblad, second by Prueta, to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Now we're on to our written information, beginning with their student enrollment.
In your packet is the January 1 numbers for student enrollment. We see just a slight dip from December 1, but this again is an incredible year for maintaining our enrollment over the course of this year. Typically, we have seen further declines at this point in the year. That also, as Matt said, kind of pushed us forward in bumping up the adopted numbers, from the adopted numbers to the revised numbers, from 2943 to 2987. Again, on February 1, we will be watching these notes as we begin looking at the adopted budget for next year. There's no rest. We're right into the adopted budget after passing the revised budget. February 1 is a workshop day that day, and so we will actually be probably taking the dipstick on either the 3rd or the 4th, knowing that that'll be a truer picture.
Thank you. Next up, we have first reading of several policies. And Amina and Laura, you've got some new policies for us to look over. Or not new, just new revisions to these policies. I shouldn't say they're new.
It's kind of like reruns, new to you.
Rewrite.
We have reviewed the 500 series of policies, and we bring the following policies to you for their first reading. Beginning with policy 503, student attendance. This policy has been updated and realigned to match the sample policy from the MSBA. Policy 515, protection and privacy of pupil records. Not only did we align to the MSBA, but we also clarified references to statute and rule, as well as some self-references within the policy as well. Policy 596, academic honesty. We did make one change. That was the change from referring to the learners as candidates rather to students to be more inclusive rather than just to have the academic honesty policy apply only to IB candidates. Policy 599, student acceleration. We updated the procedures for early entrance for kindergarten and first grade, as well as the procedures for the full grade acceleration, and made corrections to align with some copyright infringement pieces.
For policy 520, student surveys, we took a look at the MSA model policy and did some revisions based on the model policy. And for policy 522, the student sex non-discrimination policy, we also did the same thing. We looked at the MSBA policy, and then we also made sure that the posters were available to all the buildings. So we printed off new posters to make sure that they would be in all the buildings.
So we submit these policies for their first reading.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have reports from school board members, beginning with Marcia and the Northeast Metro 916 board meeting from December 29th.
Okay, we had a presentation at our last board meeting there, and it was presentation on literacy instruction for individuals with moderate to severe disabilities. And historically, reading instruction for this population has lacked a clear focus and overemphasized functional reading skills such as sight words necessary for daily living, safety, etc. So this new approach looks at, calling it a 4-block methodology, and these 4 blocks are made up of focusing on words, silent reading, guided reading, and writing. And the results at the South Campus have shown academic engagement is up with these students. It's also shown that with some of the students, in just 2 months, they've made 2 grade level advances in their reading abilities. In addition, with the increased student engagement, the behavior issues have and incidents have decreased, and the restrictive procedures have declined as well. And the results that they've shown by using this program has caught the attention of the University of Minnesota, and they've partnered with Northeast Metro 916 in a collaborative grant proposal. So it's great strides are being made there for these kids, and it's wonderful to see.
All right, thank you. Next up would be the Association of Metropolitan School Districts board meeting held on January 8th.
Yeah,
Peggy?
I was able to attend that, and there were 2 presentations, a preschool presentation as well as an individual representing MINSCU, and the conversation about concurrent enrollment that the state has been having, and making sure that teachers are certified to teach those concurrent enrollment classes, and there is more to come. We only have one opportunity. Our EMT and EMR student or teachers are the people that do the concurrent enrollment for us. Otherwise, our IB classes are handled differently.
All right, well, thank you. Next up, we have important future school board dates. The Northwest Suburban Integration School District Joint Powers Board meeting will be held tomorrow evening at the Northwest District offices in Brooklyn Park. The next Northeast Metro 916 board meeting is February 2nd, 6 p.m. at the Bel Air School. Our next AMSD board meeting is February 5th at 7 a.m. at the Ties Conference Center. The Schools for Equity and Education held their meeting February 12th at 9 a.m. at the Ramada Plaza in Minneapolis. Our next Fridley Public School Board meeting is being held February 16th with a work session at 5:30, the open forum at 7, and the business meeting at 7:30 here at City Hall. We also have a couple other things I'm going to add. The personal projects presentations will be held tomorrow from 3:30 till 5 o'clock. And in February on the 12th, the ALC will be holding their Celebration of Excellence. So you're certainly welcome to join that from 10 to 11:15. If there's nothing else anyone needs to add, I would accept a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Sampson, seconded by Lindblad to adjourn the meeting at 8:33. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we are adjourned.